The shrinking middle class, a topic of debate for both political parties.
Vice President Joe Biden, at his Charlotte visit last week, called it a, quote, middle class that has been buried the last 4 years. So was his gaffe a political truth?
News 13's Frank Verboni finds the facts on middle class numbers. And Frank, what did you find?
Well, Tammy, as much as the Obama camp doesn't like to admit it, Biden was right. The middle class has been buried the last 4 years, hit by rising prices, lower wages, and fewer jobs.
Justify. How they can justify raising taxes in the middle class has been buried the last 4 years.
Vice President Joe Biden's campaign rhetoric struck a chord. Do you think that's true?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely feel broke. Yeah, all the time.
With middle Americans and economists.
As the vice president said, the middle class is being buried.
Parsec Financial Chief Economist Dr. James F. Smith says median household income, about $50,000, has been declining since hitting a peak in 2007.
Median household income has done almost nothing but decline steadily over the last 5 or 6 years, since the beginning of the recession.
High unemployment and a smaller number of Americans with jobs, around 63%, the lowest level in 30 years, has put a squeeze on middle America.
So while we've been growing since we hit bottom in June 2009, we haven't grown remotely enough to replace the total number of jobs that we had now almost 5 years ago.
Another reason for declining household incomes is inflation. When you adjust wages for rising prices of gas and just about everything else, that leaves you with less money in your pocket.
Your dollar definitely does not go as far as it used to. You know, finding it harder to meet ends, working harder and not getting as much money.
Middle Americans are feeling the pain, resulting in weak economic growth.
Given that income drives consumption and personal consumption expenditures make up 70% of total economic activity in the United States, it shouldn't be very surprising that economic growth in this expansion is by far the weakest of any expansion since the end of World War II.
Despite being buried with low wages, record poverty, and increasing food stamp assistance, many still aren't willing to give up.
They really need to go out and get their education, work hard, and do those things, and they will be successful.
Smith says the middle class aren't the only ones feeling buried. The index of small business optimism hasn't moved out of recession levels since it started, even though the recession technically ended in June of 2009.